Yo, what's up guys? Tito here with Aloha Android, and I got a video request basically to kind of go an in-depth review of a device that I've had for well over a month. So this device I'm going to be reviewing right now in this video is going to be the LG K3. Nice little budget device from Boost Mobile. I'm going to tell you guys my honest opinions about it. Just kind of dive down and show you guys a little bit about it. But basically, on my first impressions and what I said before, a lot of it kind of still sticks. So without further ado, let's dive right in, check it out, the LG K3 for Boost Mobile. Alright, so what I have in front of me is the LG K3. This is a pretty nice budget device to pick up from Boost Mobile, and let me just start off by saying that anyone that's looking for a small sized, budget device just to kind of use for phone call, text messaging, light social media, this would definitely be a device that I would recommend. Now, there has been some times there's been some slight bugs to it, but that's to be expected with today's apps and a device such as this. This device definitely would have been great 3 years ago. Would have been absolutely, probably top notch for a budget device. But in this day and age, it's really hard to hold up against devices like the X Power and the Tribute HD, even the Tribute 5 and the Vault 2. This is pretty hard to go up against them. A couple things duly noted that about this device. I love the way that it feels in the hand. I really gotta say that. And in my reviews, usually I try to keep them pretty quick, but in this one, who cares? So I'm gonna dive into the actual build of the phone. Now, it's got some nice weight to it for being a small device, and it's got this textured front. I don't know if how well you guys can see that. Let me just get it to kind of zoom in right there so you guys can hopefully see. Probably not. My J7's camera's not focusing the best right now. But there's this rigid texture to it, which is kind of nice. Makes it great to hold and grip in the hand. Sorry, the white balance is going in and out. I don't know what's up with this camera today. When I put the screen, the background's like yellow. When I turn it this way, it's all white. Not a very good way to start things out. But anyways, the back is really textured also as well, and I love how the LG is kind of just branded into the back. That is something that is really nice. If you guys see that, it's actually branded in and just not like a sticker or anything like that. And you can really appreciate the body of the device the way it is. The camera, where the camera is located, and the flash and all that. Really good. One thing I do miss is the power volume buttons being on the back of LG devices, but I kind of see that people are they're still stuck with the old stuff. So with that being said, sorry, I got a message here. With that being said, the body definitely, if I'm gonna rate the body, I'm gonna give it like a 7.5 out of 10. The only thing I don't like is the screen, the way that the screen is. Say like you take something like the X Power right here. I don't know, the screen just feels better to touch. And I'm not talking about the display and the resolution. I'm just talking about the screen. This definitely feels like glass, as this one feels like plastic. So that could be a make or break for this device. But for what you're paying for it, you really can't expect it to be like top notch. Another cool thing about it is that it does have removable battery, and that's always something good. So here's the back of the device. You have to see the battery does come out, and you do have your SD card expansion, and you also do have antennas around here and here at the bottom. Obviously antennas for Wi-Fi, for cell network connectivity, Bluetooth and whatnot. That's always great. Some people just don't like to have to rely on a power bank for extra battery. With this one, you can just get like one of those aftermarket ones from eBay, and definitely you can use those, or you can get an OEM original, which would cost you a little bit more, have 2 batteries to use in here. No NFC, which is fine, and no fingerprint unlock which is also okay. It's not, you know, big deal. You can still do the pin and the pattern and all that stuff. You guys can see fingerprint magnet obviously on the display. So a couple things I wish they did on this device, and I wouldn't care if it brought the value of the device up to like 80 bucks. But one of the things I really wish they would have done was put in better camera sensors on the back and the front. I believe this is a 5 megapixel rear camera and then a VGA front facing camera. Now the 5 megapixel shooter on this one is not as good. I mean, the Tribute 5 has a decent camera sensor on the back, which is kind of mind-boggling. For the front, I really wish they would at least gave like a 2 megapixel front-facing shooter. That, you know, in this day and age, when you have a budget device this you know, this underpowered, you would at least expect a 2 megapixel shooter, in my opinion. So I really wish they would have put a 2 megapixel shooter instead of this VGA camera. But so let's go about specs with this device. The screen display is actually a 4.5 inch display. Resolution's at 480 by 854. That's 218 pixels per inch. The screen is actually a TFT display, so it's not LCD or anything like that. 5 megapixel rear camera on the back, and it does have all those fancy little stuff LG has, like smile detection, face detection, and yeah, all that stuff. It does have burst mode. The camcorder shoots in 1280 by 720. That's 720p HD, so it's not full HD, but it is HD nonetheless. And then the front camera is a 0.3 megapixel VGA camera. So that's where the camera is. The chipset in here is the Snapdragon 210-8909. It is a quad core clocked at 1.1 gigahertz with the ARM Cortex A7. You have the Adreno 304 GPU, 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage with 3.1 gigabytes available to the user, and it can take up to a 32 gigabyte SD card. The battery size is a 1940 milliamp hour battery, and it is removable, as you guys did see. It does have Wi-Fi capabilities also, and Bluetooth, and there's really not much to it other than that. So now that we got the specs out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the software experience on this device. So basically it runs Android 6.0. As you guys can see right now, one thing I will get into the display later, but the display is actually quite nice on this. So let's go ahead and go into settings. We'll go down here, scroll to about phone, and you'll see, like, you know, LG K3 and all that stuff. Hardware, software info. Love my son. He's out there being a monster right now. Android 6.0.1, so it is on the latest public release. The reason why I say that is because Nougat 7.0 and 7.1 is, while it is out for like Pixel and Nexus devices and some LG devices, it's not fully out yet for most phones out there. So 6.0.1 is the latest public release, in my opinion. And so here we go. And then for software version from LG, it's on ZV5. And there hasn't been a software update since about a month ago that I got one. When I purchased this device, it had a system update right out the box, and it had another one right after that. So latest version is on ZV5. And you know, if you tap the thing, you get the little Easter egg for Marshmallow. So you can play the game, but I'm not going to waste my time on that. Now, a couple things to duly note about this device. One is that it fits comfortably in the hand. I'll tell you guys that much right now. At times where I don't want to use anything that's like above 5 inches, you know, screen-wise, which means that the body size will probably be a little bit higher. This makes a great mini pocket phone, the way I feel. And it's kind of funny because 4.5-inch display was actually considered big back in the day. You guys remember the HTC Evo being a 4-inch display? Most devices were like 3-inch, 3.2, even 3.5. So it's kind of ironic now when we look at a 4.5-inch display and we're like, oh, it's small. Yeah, now it does feel small in the hand. So that is something to take into consideration. It's just like I said, I wish the camera sensors was better. I'm not a professional photographer, but I do like taking pictures, you know, with my family, and outdoors it'll do just fine. It'll do great. But when you're indoor, that's where, you know, the issues of it being a low res camera sensor is where it's really going to make an impact, as far as you kind of looking at it like, this is not the greatest. But outside, the cameras do fine. Screen is a fingerprint magnet, as you guys can see, and you guys just saw it has that LG gesture double tap to wake, so you guys can do that to wake this display. And the display there's another issue with the display, and that's the responsiveness to touch. Sometimes when you touch things, it's over responsive, and then sometimes when you touch things, it just lags out, where like not lags, but it just doesn't register your finger press. So that can be an issue. But when it wants to actually, work with you, it is kind of a great experience. As you guys saw right there, I swiped down and it didn't do nothing, and I had to pretty much do it again. So it almost seems like this is a resistive display rather than capacitive. Even though it is a capacitive display, I think most Android devices today use capacitive displays, and that's something that you're gonna kind of bug out on, because it does feel like it has to, like it's resistive technology, like it registers your pressure rather than your heat signature of your finger. The display is something to really boast about, because for it being a low-res display, it's actually quite nice. The colors look really good. This camera's not doing it any justice right now. Of course, it's a Samsung J7 as my camcorder, and so it's going to overexpose some colors and things like that. But, in real eye view, the colors look... They don't look on the cold side, nor do they look on the warm side. I mean, if you look, well, can't because the cameras, but it does kind of give this nice vivid look to it. So, I really can't complain. The blues is blues, the lighter blues is lighter blues. You can distinguish between them. The greens, like, see right here, it looks teal on the camera, but in real eye view, it's actually like a light green. But the display is nice for what it is. I can't really complain with the display. And even though it's not HD resolution display, obviously, with the battery being, 1940 milliamps, you don't want an HD display on a device like this. Otherwise, you will kill your battery super fast. And that's something that LG is known for, is having better battery life than Samsung devices. So if we go and we check out the camera, this is the indoor camera shot right here. Let me just snap a photo of that Pandroid right there. Okay, and let's pop open the photo so you guys can see. And like I said, with some lighting, it's not that bad, but you guys can really tell that this is not the greatest quality photo. And then, of course, if we look at the, we could do the screen angles right now so you guys can see the screen angles, but the device is not always the best. So let's turn it this way, and we'll just kind of go here, and just kind of go there, and you guys can see the view angles are not always the greatest either. But this is the actual photo itself. Let's kind of zoom in, and you guys can see that it starts to really have some noise around it. There goes the screen not being very responsive. Trying to zoom out. Come on. There we go. So let's go back to the camera here, and we'll take a... And then we'll take a selfie here. And there I am in selfie mode, and this is where it's really horrible indoor. Okay, so let's go and take a look at it. And as you guys can see, slightly okay, not the greatest. And of course, the Samsung camera is actually enhancing the photo. I'll put this photo also up in this little segment area, and you guys can kind of compare it. And I'll put this phone to the side right here, so then I can paste the photo in onto the left, and you guys will actually see the difference. But the Samsung camera is actually doing this photo some justice right now, because in real eye view, this is like horrible. There's a lot of shadow right here to what the J7 is actually, I guess, eliminating. So that's kind of funny that you guys are saying that the Samsung device is correcting the photo onto my K3. That's kind of funny. But yeah, you guys will actually get the real shot. I'll put it in there. So anyhow, the camera is not always going to be the best, but one thing that is cool about this camera is, let's go back to the actual camera itself. And you guys will notice that you have this slide out, which will give you the shortcuts to Instagram, Twitter Direct, Twitter as you tweet it, your text messaging, or you can email it. And I think there should be more to it. There you go. Yeah, and then if you want to add it to anything else, you can just hit those three dots, and that's kind of like the more section to just kind of go through. So, I mean, it's really nice that the camera has the shortcuts to kind of go through different social medias to just directly get your photo up there, which is something I noticed that's been with a lot of LG devices that are new lately. They have that shortcut. Audio quality on this is on the fair side. You can hear your phone calls very well from the speaker in the back. If you can listen to music, it's, this depends on the type of music you're listening to. Some of it might sound a little fainted, some might actually sound loud. That just depends on the genre of music that you're into. So the audio quality is actually going to be pretty good. Overall, with this device, I can tell you right now, the battery life on this is actually tremendously good, and that's just because the low-res display kind of helps not kill a lot of the battery power. Let's actually go and check right now. I don't have this activated on my network, so it's running off Wi-Fi. But let's just go ahead and take a look at the time that this phone's been on. Now, don't expect the greatest battery life, like, the X Power or anything like that. But for what it is, a 1940 milliamp hour battery, it's actually doing okay. So the device has been on for almost 2 hours, and it's down to 86%. So it's actually lost 14% in 2 hours. And so you really got to give it up to it. And yes, the screen has taken a lot of it. So 50 minutes and 6 seconds time on with 75 milliamps computed power use. So like I said, it's not going to be like the greatest battery life, but it handles fairly well for simple tasks and things like that. I was actually watching some videos, and that started to kill the battery from when it was like at 98%. So my final thoughts about the LG K3 is, like, who would want this device? And I would tell you right now, anyone that is looking, that's not looking for the razzle dazzle, just wants a smartphone to connect to the world and make phone calls and text messages, this is definitely going to be a good pickup. Like I said, the display is quite nice. The screen itself is not the greatest. It feels plasticky, but if you can look past that, it's not going to be a real big issue. Of course, it's a fingerprint magnet as well, and you're going to see a lot of it. The cameras is not the best on here. 5 megapixel shooter, I would have expected to at least be as good as the Tribute 5, and it's actually not. And a front-facing camera, I would have loved a 2 megapixel instead of a VGA. Like, we're in the times where VGA shouldn't even be considered as a camera sensor for a low-budget device. Just like we're getting into the era of 16 gigs onboard storage, 2 gigs of RAM is the low-budget end of specs. So if that's where we're heading into, that I would at least thought that 2 megapixels would suffice with this device, and actually giving some better pictures. Audio quality is actually really good. Like I said, it's you're gonna hear it. It's fine. Your ringtones and stuff like that, you're gonna be able to hear it when it's in pocket. At least I did. Everyone's hearing is different, so that just depends. And just the size of the phone, it is small. It fits in your hand snug. It's a 4.5-inch display, so it's kind of like that nostalgic feeling of older Android devices with the latest version of Android 6.0.1 publicly released. And I think the phone looks really nice. I think it's not overly wowing, sexy, or anything like that, but it does have a nice feel and a nice look to it, and it just screams out that you'll be able to handle this phone any way that you like. So that's it for the LG K3 review for Boost Mobile. If you guys enjoyed everything I had to say about this device, let me know by smashing that like button. Of course, you guys will see links here on the screen that you guys can click to get to my blog channel, to get to my main channel, and to even check out the last video that I posted. But again, like I said, drop a like if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if this is your first time checking it out. If there's anything else you guys wanted to add on to the K3 that I may have missed, please do so in the comment section of this video, as it does help other people to gain a little bit more insight about the LG K3. I know this review is past due and a long time coming, and probably not interesting to everyone else, but for those that are interested in this device, I hope you guys enjoyed my review on the LG K3 for Boost Mobile. My name is Tito with Aloha Android. Thanks for checking me out, and as always, you guys will see me in the next one. Aloha.